Well, Andrew, here we are, day one. What is it that you see as your pressing priorities here to begin with?
I think the most immediate priority is to get to know everybody, first of all, to listen, to learn, understand how the football club operates. It's a club with a rich tradition, a rich heritage, but one that has an excellent relationship with its supporters, which has come about obviously through events of the past, and one I know that people here have worked very, very hard to ensure that that works. So I'll be spending a lot of time over the first few weeks getting to know everybody inside the business, inside the organisation, so all my colleagues that work here, understanding what their roles are, understanding what they think works well, what they'd like to see improve, what most importantly they see as the key things that we need to do to take the football club on to the next level, which I know is important. Then it's the relationship with all the different supporter groups, being accessible, trying to be communicative as I possibly can with them as well, and understanding what makes Portsmouth special to them as well. Quite clearly, as I said, there's a huge passion. If you walk around the city, everybody's a Portsmouth supporter, and then with the wider community as well, getting to spend some time with all the key players in the community, organisations, businesses. There's some great commercial partnerships here, but also the public sector as well, which is going to be very, very key to the way that, that's important to have a good relationship in the way that we want to develop the stadium and develop the football club. And if you have all those relationships in place, it makes life so much easier.
Doesn't always sound complimentary, but you were headhunted, so it's a huge compliment to what you've done at MK Dons, surely.
No, I'm very privileged. I've been fortunate to enjoy over 23 years in football now. I started at Norwich in 1997, worked as a sales and marketing director at Norwich. We worked on a number of innovative programmes to drive the football club forward to a position where it got to sell out crowds from a base of 14,000 and 7,000 season ticket holders. And then MK Dons, 12 and a half years at MK Dons, which very, very different. A new football club seeking to establish itself with getting the right processes in place in terms of which to operate. And again, making the football club much stronger, solid, and a little bit more, I have to say, respected in the football community, given the controversial background and history that it had. But it's something that, I was probably a little bit divorced from. I wasn't there at MK Dons when the move happened. So I was able to bring perhaps a little degree of objectivity to the situation, and very so much so I was elected by my peers in League One in 2014 to the Football League Board, and then after MK Dons got promoted at the end of that season to the Championship, I was then able to be re-elected as an associate director by the Championship clubs. So I think that just showed the moves and the respect that the football club had certainly gained amongst its peers.
Once the Portsmouth carrot was dangled in front of you, did it take you long to make up your mind?
No. I think the first thing was, to be perfectly honest, I wasn't looking to move from MK Dons. I really enjoyed my time there. There's a great project going on there at the moment under Russell Martin in terms of establishing a real good identity for the football club. The players that they've brought in have been real assets. A lot of them are going to go very much higher in the game. And it was a very, very exciting period. But I'd done 12 and a half years, and when an opportunity came up to come to Portsmouth, which is a club with, as I said before, such proud heritage, such a big club, you then start to look at, okay, we know all those things, but where can it go? And I think I was quite excited by the opportunity, and that then came about because the most important relationship that I need to have, apart from obviously with the manager, is with the owners. And that sort of the discussions with them really sold it to me, importantly because of their commitment to the football club. I can see exactly where they want to take it. They're different from some other owners in football club, particularly some of the instances that we've seen in recent weeks where it's totally different. They're not looking to take money out of the football club. They want to establish this as a football club which is based on sustainability. One can live within its means. They're very conscious of the history as to what's happened, but they also want to take the club forward in many, many different ways. It's obviously, we all want to get to the Championship and look where we can go beyond that, but in terms of redeveloping the stadium to leave a real legacy. And that has real resonance with me, because that's how we operated things at Milton Keynes Dons, with that, a 303 bedroom hotel, a big arena, which actually makes football work. And you've got to do these things, and that again was exciting, and I think that to me provides real energy and the way that we want to go forward. So it didn't take a huge amount of time. In fact, this has been like an 8 to 10 week process since when those discussions started to where we are today. So it's been hugely busy. Obviously, I've known that I've been coming in since May the 14th, but I had to do stuff back at MK Dons to make sure there was a good a handover as we possibly could do there. And then, obviously, it was just getting my head around all the things that were happening about the football club, so I can hit the ground running from today.
You mentioned the stadium, and that will be good news to you, the announcement on Monday. That happens over 4 years. Does that leave us hamstrung in any way? Is there a scope after that to progress?
I very much think so. I think these go hand in hand with everything else that happens within the football club. So we're starting off obviously with the redevelopment. Those are things that are necessitated because we will be suffering capacity cuts due to it's an old stadium. It's a stadium which constantly has to be renovated, improved to fit all the different safety requirements, and that equally is important because supporters need to know that when they come and visit Fratton Park that their safety is absolutely paramount. It's first and foremost, I think, amongst lots of football supporters' minds, that when they come to the football ground, it's not necessarily just about winning the football match, it's about feeling safe. So we have to make those improvements, and it builds an opportunity to look at all 4 stands in terms of the different things that we want to do, because we've got to get ready. If we're going to go up to the Championship, we've got to make sure that the ground is safe and it's ready, otherwise those capacity cuts will get stronger. So you can't do everything at once. We've just gone through the most unreal times in terms of the pandemic, and we've got to make sure that again we can make these things happen. So the commitment from Michael and his family to fund £10 million on top of the funding that they've had to do from the losses of COVID is a tremendous testament of their faith and their commitment to the football club.
But I suppose what we're saying is that just a start, and we say 20,000 capacity when that's all done. But is there a scope to go beyond that capacity later on?
You'd like to think so, and I think that's something that we get this first stage done, see where the football club goes and what the optimum capacity for a football stadium is. At Carrow Road we got to a situation where the stadium was around about 26,000. We looked at the possibility of taking it up to 31,000, but again a huge investment to try and make that happen. 26,000 was a good capacity to have. Stadium MK operates at 30,000, which means it can host a number of internationals. The Women's Euros are being hosted there next year. There's other events that are going to come up next year with the FA. So you want to constantly be looking that you get the relationship, the capacity, and everything works right. Not just in terms of watching a football match, but in terms of the hospitality that you can offer, in terms of the commercial opportunities that might come from event space. All these things can produce cash, they produce money that can be reinvested in the football team. So you have to make sure that you can get that return on investment, and if that return on investment can be proven, then of course you keep building the capacity, because the ultimate benefactor will be the football club, and the budget and the amount we can spend on footballers.
It's only June and already fans traditionally panic about players coming in. They've seen a few players leave to fellow clubs in League One on presumably better contracts. What can you say to allay their fears?
I think one of the things that we must recognise is Danny Cowley, exactly the same, coming into a football club, has a very, very clear identity, has a very, very clear vision of how he wants this football team, this football club to play. So he will recruit the players that best fit that particular model. So we have to give him that little bit of space to bring players in, to remodel the squad. And that's not going to happen over one window. I think we've got to be very clear about this. This is something that will probably take 2 or 3 windows to get absolutely right, to actually get the squad that fits the identikit of the style you want to play. So the process starts with players that are out of contract. You try and take a view as to, well, with those players, as to whether they, are going to fit that particular style of football, whether you release them. Some very hard decisions have to be made. You then look at other players and you try and make an offer to them as best you possibly can. And then you start to look forward at the recruitment. And it would be very, very easy just to say, well, that player's available, let's go out and recruit him because he's, he's a great player, he's scored lots of goals, or he's a great centre-half or whatever. I think we've got to be looking at players that have potential, that they can become assets for Portsmouth Football Club, but most importantly, they fit exactly what Danny wants to do. So we have to be a little bit patient. It's a long window. We'll see a few clubs starting to do some business now. Not a lot, but there is obviously some business being done. We've got new owners at football clubs at Wigan, at Ipswich, who are obviously splashing the cash about at the moment. But again, it's about making sure that we're very, very smart, we're very, very intelligent about the way that we recruit our players. And that's going to be one of the key priorities that I need to look at in terms of how our recruitment processes work, working with the guys who currently do that to understand it, and then seeing what they think we need to do to become even smarter in the way we go about things. So again, that all ties in with the first question that you asked me about how my first few weeks are going to be spent: listening, learning, understanding, working with people to help them improve Portsmouth Football Club.
So in many ways, it's a club and a team that's starting with a blank piece of paper.
In very ways, I think it is, but we must not undermine the work that's been done to date. This football club's come such a long way in such a short space of time. When you look back as to where it was, and looking from the outside in, it was a very, very sad story at that time. But the way that people have come together, the way the supporters have come together with the football club, the way the community has worked together with the football club to re-establish it into a position, we now have to look at the next level and look at where we can make the improvements, where we can create energy, where we can become really dynamic to move us on to the next stage.
Are you going to try and stamp your own authority on the place, or do you really just have to come and steer the ship in the way it was going?
No, I'm not a dictator. I'm somebody who is, anybody who's worked with me will tell you that I'm very consultative in the way that I operate. I'm very collaborative, and I'm very considered in the decisions that I want, that I make. Ultimately, I have to make those decisions because you're the final piece in the jigsaw, and some things, those decisions won't be popular from time to time, but they will be made having established the facts. And that is something which is really important to me, and that's why I'm so keen to get to know everybody and make sure that I properly understand how the football club works, understand what the key priorities are. And there will be 100, as any football club, there's 100 things you can do, 100 projects, lots of ideas that people have, and you want as many ideas as you possibly can. And my task will be to prioritise those to the benefit of Portsmouth Football Club.
So working here and working at MK Dons, it's the same blueprint?
I think in different ways. I think every football club is individual, every football club is different, but ultimately both clubs try to operate on a sustainable model, and that is really, really important to me. I think if I was coming into a club, it could be very easy to say there's a great box of chocolates over there, and you're going to have a lot of money to spend, but it could go horribly wrong if you haven't got careful stewardship of your football club. And I look at that in terms of, we're all custodians of the football club we work at. The supporters will be here long after we've gone, and we want to make sure there's a football club, a successful football club, at the point where we hand it over. And that to me is, how ultimately I'll be judged.
One thing we haven't touched on is probably a jewel in the owner's crown, the academy. How do you see that going forward? I
think academies are hugely important at every football club. So it's a very exciting time in terms of Greg Miller coming into the academy as well. He'll have his own views. I'm looking forward to meeting with Greg to understand his vision for the academy. I think the key things for me you look at, you want to recruit the best players. So how's our recruitment currently working? You want to look at the processes that the academy operates under to make sure it's safe to operate. You know, the proper safeguarding policies, really critical, are all in place, particularly following the Sheldon report. And that we're recruiting the best coaches as well. It's not just about players, it's about coaches. Are they attracted to come and work at Portsmouth Football Club? Do they see a pathway for doing that? So again, it's a real review of what we're doing, and a lot of clubs are becoming quite creative in the way they're doing their recruitment at the moment. The traditional, the sort of linear scope of going to junior football clubs and looking at their best talent is still really important, but it's making sure that you have a fluid recruitment structure. I think too many football clubs, and I don't know whether this is the case at Portsmouth or not, focus all their recruitment effort around about 8, 9, and you have no fluidity then once you get to, you know, the ages of 11, 12, 13, 15, 16 to bring players up and freshen things up a bit when you need to do it. And footballers develop at different times, different levels. So it's looking again at those things. I'm really interested to see how it works, and making sure that we have a regular pipeline of talent coming from the Portsmouth Academy through to the first team. I think that's very much part of the vision that we have, and why Michael and his family are so committed to the academy.
Mark Catlin was here 8 years. If you're here 8 years, what would you like to look back at as your achievements?
I think you know, what you want to see is most importantly, you want to see the football club progress in, you know, along the same lines as Mark has helped to progress it over the last 8 years, and achievements that he's made to take it forward. So we want to see a successful, vibrant, energetic football club, one that's respected within the community, and is very successful on the playing pitch. Clearly, we all want to move, you know, from League One into the Championship and have aspirations of playing and establishing a place in the Premier League as well. But that takes time, and it's going to have the right processes in place to make that work. We've got to get right across the board, from first team through our commercial partners, our relationship with the community, the way we behave will be really important. And I just, at this stage, you know, want to take stock of everything, recognise all the hard work that's been achieved by so many people today throughout the football club, whether they work here, whether they're supporters, whether they're, you know, commercial partners, whether they're people who work, you know, in the public sector who make the football club work. But yeah, we want to see a Fratton Park which is full. We want to see a Fratton Park which is lively, and with supporters who are really proud of the football club. And what we, you know, at the end of the day, what you want to have with any football club in any city is to have a football club that's proud of its city, and a city that's proud of its football club.
Andrew, that's a good place to leave it. We wish you well.
Thank you.